So I'll get to discussing the topic at hand in a moment, but the fall and autumn is coming up soon, which I much prefer over summer. And during the fall and autumn, I tend to eat a lot of soups and stews, and these are just some of the soups and stews that I like. I love dumplings, so I love matzo ball soup and chicken and dumpling soup. I love ciappino, although I rarely eat that because it's hard to get all the seafood, and also seafood is very expensive at the moment, as you all know. Things like crab and lobster and white fish, that's all very expensive. But I do love ciappino, one of my favorite soups, if not my favorite soup of all time. It's some people consider it to be a fish stew rather than soup. I love oxtail and short ribs and hearty soups to get me through the cooler months. Um, and I will be talking about food as this podcast goes on, because the person who I'll talk about seems to me that she wasn't fond of food, and not very generous with food. So there you go. So it's very ironic that just as I was working on this podcast, I caught a video with Ruby Frankie's sister. Ruby Frankie's sister has just uploaded a video. Well, she just posted a video to give her side of things. And she was explaining, and I'm just trying to paraphrase, but also condense what she said. She was saying that she hadn't really been in contact with her sister for quite a long time, and that she wasn't a huge fan of her business partner, Jody. Now, I think there's more to the relationship between Jody and Ruby, or Jody and Frankie. I think there's more to it than meets the eye. And I think that we might find out what this relationship is really all about as time goes on. But I definitely think that there's more to this relationship. I think there's more to their relationship. And, she basically said she hasn't spoken to her sister for a while. She tried to contact her sister. She wasn't really able to get through to her sister. And that, there were some teachings that her sister was kind of, telling her about and talking to her about, which she wasn't in agreement with. And that kind of sounds like a Lori Vallow situation to me. But I'll discuss this as this podcast goes on, because I've got a few things to talk about with regard to this topic. It's an absolutely beautiful day here. The heat wave has subsided. It's less hot and less humid, and it's just a beautiful sunny day. The sun is shining down and glistening onto my white bed sheets. It's just a beautiful day. And I have a few things to talk about, things that have been happening in the news, in the drama world, on Court TV. And I want to give you some of my opinions on that. I want to share that with you. But I also want to say, before I get this started, is that I've had a very challenging summer. Summer is not my favorite season. I'm a fall girl. I prefer autumn. And I found the summer quite challenging. And I'm dealing with a few issues. And I think it's important, even though I'm not going to tell you everything, but I think it's important to be honest and real about your feelings and emotions, and not to try and cover up any kind of challenges you might be going through in life with false pride and bravado and stuff like that. Because I think at the end of the day, that doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve anyone to pretend that everything that is okay when everything isn't. And like I said, I'm a very lucky girl. I've had a wonderful life. I've lived in nice homes. I've traveled the world. Went to private school. But that doesn't mean to say that everything is always perfect. And I do have my challenges and, issues that I go through on a daily basis, just like everybody else. Anyway, let's get into it. So I want to talk about this Ruby Frankie Passengers woman. A lot of people are comparing her to Shanann Watts, and I'll talk about that later. But I just want to get through this first, because both Lori Vallow Daybell and Murda, they're both going for appeals. They want to appeal, and Alec Murda and Lori Vallow. Now, I think Lori Vallow has absolutely no chance of getting a new trial. I think she has zero chance whatsoever. I don't think there's any chance she's going to get a new trial. She can't accept that she's going to be where she is for life, but that's how it is. She's never ever, going to reverse what happened. As for Alec Murdaugh, I think there's very little chance that he's ever going to get a new trial. However, there's a slightly higher chance of him getting a new trial than Lori Vallow. I also think even if he does get a new trial, which I very doubt will happen, but even if I'm wrong on that, I think it will be the same outcome. So it will just be a waste of time. And as we know, he's up for other things, and he'll be appearing in court again for a whole host of other things. So I don't think that there's any chance for him personally. So those two, basically, they better stay comfortable and get cozy where they are, because, the outcome for them is not going to be much different, even if they do get a second chance, which they probably won't. So the Ruby Franke case, it's people are sensationalizing this case, and they're making their content out of this case because it's a popular news. It's a headline grab right now. And I was just thinking to myself, and I commented on one of these channels. She has a business partner, somebody called Jody, right? And I personally believe that there's more to the relationship between Ruby and Jody. I believe that there is more than just a business partnership between them. And if that's the case, they have a more intimate relationship than we know. And I'm not saying this for sure, but I suspect that this relationship with her business partner is more than meets the eye. That's just what I'm thinking. So mummy vlogger channels are on the rise, and as we know, Ruby Franke had a mummy vlogger channel, and there's lots of footage that people looked at, and eyebrows were raised about certain things, aspects of her parenting and parenting style. And when she was criticized, she doubled down a lot, apparently. One thing I noticed, and this is what I think, when it comes to parents and them, when I was young, my mum used to have to really almost force me to eat. I didn't want to eat anything. I didn't like anything she gave me. When I did want to eat, when I came to England and we moved to England, all I wanted to eat was stuff like chicken nuggets, McDonald's, hamburgers, Chinese takeaway, stuff like that. I never really liked to eat the stuff that my mum gave me. And, she would pack my lunchbox and I would come back with my lunchbox unopened. But one of the things I noticed in some of her videos that I've seen is that one of her disciplinary actions was withholding food from children. And because of this and other things that we've seen in these videos, she's been compared to Shanann Watts. There's a lot of footage from Shanann's videos where people have, echoed the same sentiments. I don't think she's anything like Shanann, personally speaking, but then, that's just my opinion. I think that Ruby Franke is a lot more eyebrow raising than Shanann is, by far. I don't think there's any competition. But one of the things that she did was withhold food. You can't have food until you clean your room. You can't have food until you do your chores. You can't have food until you wash the dishes, so on and so forth. And to me, her parenting style sounds like it was very controlled, and that's what she liked. She liked to be in control and feel like she was in control. It's about power and control. And there was also an incident at her children's school, apparently, where they were playing a certain type of music, and Ruby Franke didn't want her children to be exposed to that type of music. But there was nothing apparently wrong with the music that the school had chosen. It's just that Ruby Franke just happened to have a problem with it. And so it seems to me that Ruby Franke's parenting issues were all about power and control, and I'm the boss and I'm in control and you have to listen to me. And I think that's what gave her, fuel. And obviously we know what happened, and I might discuss this again, I might not. But I think it's about power and control. Now, we know where she is now, and as time goes on, I think more will be revealed. But I do believe that there's more to her relationship with this Jodie woman than meets the eye. And I think that is the key to what's been happening. I think her relationship with Jodie is a key to what's been happening. Anyway, folks, I'm going to leave it here, and I might talk about this again with you and I might not. But have a good evening, have a good day, and I'll see you again soon.